Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, Sarah Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3 teenagers. I believe that your body does want to and is capable of rebuilding and healing itself regardless of what chronic disease you may have. And I'm here for you to answer your questions and bring you innovative and cutting-edge technologies and health solutions to empower you and your ability to reach your optimal state of health. Today, my guest will be talking about finding joy in your business and how that joy will bring you success. And I know that you really need a strong physical health foundation to work on your mental and spiritual growth to find that joy. So whether it's overcoming anxiety and depression, losing weight, or detoxing the body in the proper way, and even increasing that level of frequency in life, you need a strong physical foundation of health in order to gain the willpower to make the bigger changes in your life. If you're new to following me, I specialize in helping you get there, and you can find my health articles, my cutting-edge natural supplements, devices, and protocols at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I dive into an array of health conditions, their causes and symptoms, and how to address them naturally. I have spent thousands of dollars in my hours where I've been biohacking different supplements, technologies, and diets that don't work so that you don't have to. And if you have any health issues and need my help with you can email me directly through the website. I personally read every one. Accelerated Health Products is the sponsor of the show. So as you support my website, I'm able to bring you more cutting-edge content and guests to the show. First, I want to talk about my free monthly group coaching that comes with my most comprehensive cleanse, the Accelerated Ascent Diet Cleanse. And you can find it at the homepage at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. It's the most comprehensive cleanse I have, and the groups that have gone through have had the most amazing results. They have blown my mind. I've done these supplements and these protocols for years, but just seeing how they have transformed my clients' lives is just beyond my expectations. And the group has seen easy fat loss for those stubborn pounds. I had one client that came to me and said, Sarah, I'm okay just being fat. I know I'm going to be fat. I just need to get rid of these hot flashes and the hormonal imbalances, and that's it. Well, at the end of the 30 days, not only are her hormones back in balance, her metabolism is up, she's lost those stubborn pounds that she could not lose for years, and feels great. Energy and mental focus are up for everybody. Better bowel movements, decreased appetite, and the ability to intermittent fast for 22 hours and even up to 3 days for some people. Clearer skin and whiter eyes, better sleep, less moodiness, improved cellular health, and what is called cellular permeability or phase angle. And that's the ability for nutrients to come into the cells and toxins to get out. And if your cells are rigid, it's going to hold on to those toxins and it's not going to let the nutrients in. So we need to improve that cellular permeability. And through this cleanse, we do that. And you get all of the gallstones out of the body at the end of the 30 days. Yes, these little pea-sized gallstones that are in your body, slowing your liver, slowing your metabolism, slowing your conversion of your thyroid hormones. They are out of your body and able to function. Your liver is able to more efficiently process and deal with the environmental toxins we're all under, the radiation we're all being exposed to. And my clients are also able to get off their medication that they have been wanting to get off. So if you have any questions or want to know if this is right for you, you can email me through the website or just comment below. I'm happy to contact you and see what is correct and what is good for you. And the difference between me and any other group coaching is I do provide those the most cutting edge frequency enhanced supplements that work synergistically with each other, and your body does not experience those flu-like symptoms, and you feel great day one. So again, leave a comment below if you're interested, and I'm happy to contact you. So now to the good stuff. Shani Godwin is CEO of Communiqué, a high growth marketing firm, and she is a highly successful entrepreneur who is able to scale her business to over $1 million after she finally let God, and started using the currency of joy to find mental health and wellness and to level up. I just love this. I'm getting the chills reading this. And after enduring extreme physical and emotional fatigue, and even after suffering the loss of her dad and her marriage, she discovered how negative thinking was impacting the outlook and even the operations of her business. And after recovering, she was finally able to find the resilience to pursue her passions, to run a business, but from a place of joy and wellness. And in fact, her innovative insights on how to make more money while working a little less and having less stress has been featured in leading outlets like Forbes, Huffington Post, and Essence magazine. Welcome, Shani. How are you this morning?
Hi, Sarah. I'm great. How are you?
Good. I just love what you represent and what you're doing. It brings me back to the thoughts that went through my mind in my early 20s when I thought, gosh, I wish God would just show me my purpose. Because here I was going into real estate office 8 to 5, and I was watching the clock and could not wait until 4:59 when I knew that I could leave the office. I hated my job. I had zero connection to it. It wasn't anything, and I knew there was a bigger purpose in my life. And God took me through my own health struggles and has led me to do what I'm doing today. And that's why I love where you're coming from, because truly, when you are doing what you love and it's coming from a place in your heart and your purpose and a God-driven purpose, whatever, if you're religious or not, the universe's purpose for you, it's a whole different ballgame. So I would love to start with your background and what your journey was bringing you to today.
Absolutely. First of all, let me just say thank you to you, Sarah, for having me on and allowing me time to share my story with you. It's always a pleasure when I get to share. And it's funny that you talked about having that moment in your 20s where you were really soul searching for your purpose. That was very, very similar kind of to where I found myself at 28, 29. When I was in my late 20s, I had the good fortune of being able to have a mother who recognized my gifts as a writer, but a mother who also was like, I'm not going to let you go to college and just be like the bohemian writer on the beach that you want to be. We got to figure out how to like monetize this gift and, you know, make it work for you so that you can create a career and a path forward for yourself. And so that led me into marketing by way of corporate America, traditional advertising agencies, worked at companies like Chick-fil-A and Bell South when I was early in my career, and got the opportunity to start Communiqué, my marketing firm, when I was 27 years old. And so that was pretty impactful. Very early in life, I was able to kind of figure out how I wanted to monetize my gifts and show up in the world. And when I started Communiqué, it was super scary to leave my day job behind and kind of forge this career at a time where people were not leaving corporate America. It was early 2000s, a year after 9/11. Everyone's like, you're doing what? Are you crazy? And not only did I do it, but in those first few years, things were very kind of fluid and effortless. I tell people when you are in alignment with your assignment here on this earth, things just kind of flow. And that was happening. I didn't have the wherewithal or the spiritual maturity to understand it. And so that led me in my late 20s in that first year of turning 30 to really start to pray wholeheartedly and sincerely hey, God, I definitely think you're in the midst here. I'm wondering for the first time, like, what is your will for my life? Like, I'm the one who wanted to write. I'm the one who wanted to start a marketing firm. I've been doing my will, but what would things look like if I showed up in this earth and did what you put me on earth to do? And I laughed kind of on the inside when you said you had this similar experience in your 20s, because now that I'm much older, I call that a radical prayer. And the answer was pretty radical. 2 months after that prayer, that was at the beginning of 2005, I ended up having a mental breakdown and getting diagnosed with a rare form of depression. And that is where I tell people my story actually started. Not only did I have to kind of work my way through understanding what the heck had happened, I really comfortably denied and ran from that diagnosis for about 5 years. My marriage suffered as a result 2 years after, almost to the day of having that episode and breakdown. My marriage fell apart. He said he no longer wanted to be married. And a year later, my dad died unexpectedly from a massive heart attack in his sleep. And so unexpected diagnosis, medical condition breakdown, followed by unexpected divorce, followed by unexpected death of my father. I tell people I lost my identity, both as a professional, as the person I knew myself to be, high achieving, high functioning. I lost my marriage, which at the time was one of the most important things to me. And then I lost my dad, who was my person to this day on this earth. And you talk about being leveled and being super angry, because, right, like, I wanted to do what I assumed was a good thing for God. And in order to do that, everything got stripped away. And I'm older and more mature and further along in my journey. And he has made me into, who he wanted me to be, but it's a reflection of these painful pieces that were given to me. And so I poured myself into my business, because that's where I found happiness and wholeness and validation, and I was good at it. And so the company was around $150,000 when my marriage fell apart. And in 2015, we scaled over $1 million, and we're a marketing firm. And so we do and help companies tell their stories, and we work with leaders to help them tell their personal brand stories. And so the work was feeding my spirit and fueling me. And although I was never shooting for that $1 million mark, it became like an elixir, like a driver. And so when we hit and scaled it, a moment that I thought should have created the most joy in my life, ironically, I found myself in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. crying profusely, depression completely flared up, because not only had I not dealt with the losses in my life, but I'd used working as the antidote. And all I found at the top of that $1 million climb was more work, more stress, more people who I felt were wanting parts of me that I wasn't able to give. And I knew until I sat down and redefined success for myself and happiness for myself, that I would not be able to be who God was calling me to be. And so we created and I launched and actually came up with the idea of joy being the litmus test, or the measurement tool that I would measure my success by. How fulfilled I was, how much joy I had, how happy I was. And until I could check that box, the money, the other things, it's not that they didn't matter, but to measure my success based on them, I felt and realized that's where I was kind of getting off track. And so I had to go back and track back through all the mess of those pieces and really figure out what the meaning was in them, and then how I could help and begin to help other women entrepreneurs detach themselves from the parts of their stories that were no longer serving them.
Gosh, there's so much in there that I want to touch on. First of all, I think we have experienced the same journey. I mean, everything that you said, I've experienced. And I believe that God puts you through these cuts and bruises for a reason, just to keep you kind of going in the right direction on your journey and to learn your lesson. And there are these lessons along the way. And you and I both I mean, yes, you're successful, but are you done with your journey? No. I mean, there's going to be still some more challenges that you're not expecting. And every time I come across a challenge, every time whether one of my kids come across a challenge, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. My kids and my family and I have had many health issues. And every time something comes up, I say to them, thank God for this challenge right now. This is a blessing because this is going to steer you in the direction that you're meant to go, and you don't know it. And so when you pray to God or the universe, what is my life's journey and where am I supposed to go and what am I supposed to do? Those are the little tweaks that happen. And I actually this year through COVID, and I think a lot of people are having a gut check this year of what does bring them joy and what is it? And it's not just monetary.
Right.
And we can talk about all of the big businesses and big pharma that is really, getting a lot, financially gaining during this time. But then you wonder, are they experiencing joy, these people, in their personal lives? We don't know. We don't know what they're experiencing. We don't know what's going on in the households. Money doesn't solve everything. And if you are experiencing joy and you're doing what you're meant to do, then the money will come and you'll be comfortable. But I wanted to ask you, you mentioned a rare form of depression, and because my clients are into their health, mental and physical, and depression is a huge issue right now with COVID, I'm just curious what that rare diagnosis was.
Sure. The diagnosis is a form of depression. You can say it two different ways. It's depression with psychotic features or psychotic depression. If I understand correctly, only about 2% of people have that. The underlying condition is depression, but if it's not taken care of, if it's not managed, well, it can result in a break. So that is the truth of the matter. And it wasn't until I was able to really accept it, which actually acceptance for me came after my dad died, because I had another episode and was able to identify that unexpected loss was essentially one of my triggers. And instead of dealing with loss when it happened, I was suppressing and using work as kind of the Band-Aid. The work was giving me the endorphins. I wasn't a person who presented, and never have been a person whose depression presents as sadness, and walking around, my sadness is masked by super high functioning. So that busyness was keeping it suppressed. And when it's not managed, eventually, what doesn't come out will come up. And, I tell people, for me, it was a conscious decision in 2009 after my dad died, that when I finally got to a place, Sarah, where I could accept it, I was like, I am not going to live my life in shame, hiding behind stigma, living less than because other people are uncomfortable with it and because the world and society doesn't understand it. And I do know who I am. I am a believer, and I believe God wants me to live my best life. And so what I tell people is, the undercurrent of joy, the shadow side is stress, right? So Joy Economics is actually built on a platform that really looks at the cost of stress on our businesses, on our lives, et cetera. So for me, stressors and stress show up in this ugly little way. And at times I wonder if it's a beautiful way, because unlike some people with depression, I do have a valve that will release, and it's an ugly little process, but it's going to come out. And on the other side of those episodes, I'm freed up and it comes out, and I'm better. Not that you want that to have that happen, but whether it's mental illness, mental health, cancer, insomnia, weight gain, stress is going to show up. That stress energy is going to show up somewhere in your physical or mental being. And so once I got comfortable with it, I committed myself to outing myself, for lack of a better word, because I know that I know, because people come to me all the time in secret and share their stories with me, that people are suffering, and we're doing each other a disservice if we don't share the truth of what we deal with.
Well, I just want to emphasize that, especially now. I've got 3 teenagers, and the amount of depression, anxiety, and suicide attempts or thoughts that I've seen just in my kids' friends and my kids, just through this whole period, it's normal. It shouldn't be normal. It is become normal. It's become very common. And it needs to be talked about, and it needs to be outed, and people need to be able to relate, because the worst thing a depressed person or suicidal person can be is alone, or feeling alone and hiding. And there are solutions. And if you go on my website under my articles and my health blog, where I'm talking about heart disease or lack of energy or weight gain or whatever the health issue is, I talk about diet and supplements that you can take for each thing. But at the bottom of every single one is what? It's stress management, stress and sleep. If you're not managing your stress or you're not sleeping, forget about diet and exercise and supplements. That's not going to do any good. You need the sleep, and you need to reduce your stress, which is easier said than done. So let's talk about, how did you switch that? How did you switch from being in a place of, yes, you were financially successful, but you were stressed and you weren't enjoying and feeling that joy in your life?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I don't get asked that question nearly enough. It was a process, right? So you have a moment of epiphany or breakthrough. Things don't change overnight. For me, that was in 2017. And I can say I'm still in the process of evolving from that place. But for me in my business, what it looked like was really assessing, how am I uniquely designed? Like, how did God design me? What are those things that feed my spirit and give me energy? And what are the things that drain me? And so when we scaled over the $1 million mark, I had to learn HR and legal, and I'm sitting, days for days and all these meetings about areas of the business that were necessary, but that I was not gifted for. And so when I thought about what made me happy, it was the writing, right? Because that was there in the beginning. It was the speaking. It was the sharing, creating a culture. And so I had to extract myself as the CEO from those areas, and then go find people to join my team who were lifted and who found joy in the things that I did not like. And so my model with Joy Economics is really about teaching women entrepreneurs how to identify how they're uniquely made. How do we align the work of your business with who you naturally are, and then build out a team of resources that function at their highest level in their best unique ability. When that happens, the whole organization's currency is going to rise. You're going to make literal, physical, tangible currency off of the currency of joy, because that flow of joy, energy, and people being happier means they're going to be more productive. They're going to get stuff done faster. And then that's going to resonate and go back out to your clients and your customers, which means you'll attract more of the same. The other big thing I did, Sarah, was take a break. And so this is probably the most renegade piece of the whole puzzle, but I had planned to take a 90-day break. My mental health was suffering, and I knew I was exhausted, and I knew what that would look like if I did not get myself off the hamster wheel. So I planned a 90-day sabbatical. Not only did my team rise to the occasion, because I wasn't there to get in the way and, as I say, hoard all the work. And, we as women, especially women business leaders, feel like we have to do it all. When I wasn't there, people rose to their highest level of ability. And when I saw that, I realized I was putting a lot more on my back and plate than I needed to. And so I took a whole nother year and spent a year writing, healing myself, letting them run it, and stepping away. So I, in total, took 14 months away from my business. I checked in about once a week for about 8 hours a week. But my team rose to the occasion. That gave me so much clarity on where I best served the business that when I came back, I was able to fully function in the best of my ability and let other people shine alongside me.
Gosh, amazing. And I just have to emphasize that with my experience over the last 2 years. Ironically, as you're talking, I'm like, this is why. I had hired a marketing company that was demanding me do stuff that was not bringing me joy. Right? Yeah. They were asking things of me that just made me feel uncomfortable. It wasn't my personality. It wasn't where I wanted to go. And I finally let them go. I cut my marketing costs in by 2/3, and my business grew as I was filling the spot that brought me joy and that I was better at, and that came to me more naturally. And my team also got happier and couldn't wait to help me and was more enthused about the company. And it was just this synergistic experience. And I thought, wow, this is how it's supposed to be. Life is not supposed to be hitting a wall all the time. Yes, you're going to have bumps and bruises. Yes, you're going to have pivots and turns. But you're not supposed to just hit a glass wall at all times, right?
Right.
And that's something that I love that you talk about, where it is, it will come. If you are doing your purpose and you are following your joy, then it will come. And Shani, we're going to take a short commercial break real quick. And I want to come back and talk about what are the things that you tell people that they can do today, and what we can go through, how to change their business and also increase their joy in their lives. So we'll take a real quick break here and come right back and talk with Shani Godwin.
Awesome.
Welcome back to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm here with Shani Godwin. And Shani, let's talk about the 3 tips that you would give women on how to grow their business without stress, and especially during this stressful, crazy time.
Well, I love this question. There's so many things, but the first one that I always share, Sarah, is boundaries. And I know we live in a world where we're talking about boundaries a lot, but for me, that was one of the biggest things that was getting in the way, because when, we may set boundaries with a friend or someone who is toxic, but in our business, if we don't set boundaries, then what happens is we're on 24/7. And I recognize that in order for me to be my best self, I couldn't be on 24/7. Because those problems, those issues day to day in the business, if I was allowing them to seep in and creep in into my evenings, my time with family and friends, my vacations, then my brain would be moving and working all the time. That would show up in my sleep because I would begin getting insomnia. If I'm not sleeping well, then I'm grabbing Cokes and Coke Zeros to get by. So, not only would I be packing on pounds, but eventually I would start to not feel well emotionally. And so I started being able to map all of the pieces, and boundaries was a big, big thing that I needed to put in place. So at Communiqué, we have an email policy. Everyone agrees to abide by it. Our clients know about it and respect it. Work-life balance is a big piece of our culture. And because I'd done the math, and when I built the business case for Joy Economics, I learned that stress was costing U.S. companies about $360 billion a year in productivity losses prior to the pandemic. So it's even higher. I think it's up around 391 billion now. So for us, we do not, and we make a commitment. Everyone signs the policies. You can be written up for it. Luckily, we haven't had to terminate anyone, but we do not email each other after 7 p.m. and we don't engage with clients after 7 p.m. on weekends. And on weeknights rather, and on weekends, we're completely off the grid. And if you're on vacation, you're on vacation. So that's a big, big piece. The other things are really simple. I think learning how to delegate. And I know we talk a lot about that in business, but when I took that sabbatical for my team, I really understood the difference between what I had been doing and delegating before, prior to when I took that break. I didn't just give them my work to do, but I delegated my authority. I gave them permission to do and make the decisions that they felt were best while I was gone, and I supported their decision making. So at the moment, I, as a business leader, require everyone to show up as me, it immediately traps me in the business. And the reality is we're all uniquely gifted. God designed us all so that we could work together, collaboratively, bring our gifts and create something great. And so delegating my authority was a big piece of being able to step away, because my team knows when I'm on vacation, I make a speech whenever I leave and I say, make the best decision that you think is best, work together, and whatever you decide, I'll support you when I get back. Because I'm not there, right? So as soon as I do that, they know that they have permission to do what they think is best. Also, when I delegate, I always ask myself one question when anything comes across my desk, and that is, am I the best and only person to answer this problem and solve this problem? If I'm not the only person who can do it, then that goes to the best person who can do it. So boundaries, delegation, and then the last piece is really just learning how to celebrate the process and in the moment. So $1 million was like this thing that we were striving for. But Sarah, I have to tell you, when we made it there, we celebrated. And I'm so embarrassed when I share this part of the story with a text message. I took a screenshot of our P&L and QuickBooks, texted it to my team, and was like, yay, we did it. And the next day we showed up and we were like, so what are we going to do next? And so I have learned, a good friend of mine told me, he used to play basketball, and he said his coach would tell him, the win is great, but I want you to get lost in this process. The process of becoming the thing is really where we miss a lot of joy touch points. So pandemic, one of my biggest gifts of COVID is learning to slow it all the way down and to be very, very present. And I've been doing a lot more in the meditation and mindfulness space, personally and at work, to be able to celebrate what are the moments in this day, today, that can bring me joy. And when I put my attention there, it makes the whole journey beautiful. There's joy on the climb and joy when you get to the top. And you asked for 3, but the final, cap on that is celebrate. Just celebrate when you do something amazing, and it doesn't have to be big to be amazing. Celebrate yourself, your team in the moment.
So I want to touch on the journey versus the end game. And this is, you read about all the Olympic gold medalists who get there, and then afterwards what happens? They go into severe depression or become suicidal. And you're like, well, I don't understand. You're on top of the world. You're on the Wheaties box. What's going on? Well, in our brains, the dopamine hits, the feel-good hits happen during the journey. They don't happen when you get there. right? It's not the end game. And I really want to stress this, and this is something that I have to work on too, is to find that joy every single day. What is today? Like, this is just part of the journey. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the end goal. My end goal may way surpass the end goal that I have in mind, or maybe totally different. So if I'm banking all of my happiness on that one thing in my mind that's going to happen, it may never happen, or it may look totally different. And I should enjoy every step of the way now as we're going on. And that is also where you're getting the happy hormones. So when we bring it back to the physical body, the mental and the spiritual all connected, it's really important to celebrate, like you're saying, every win during every day. Question. So when you are delegating, which is a very difficult thing to do for, I'm assuming you're a type A personality, like most women entrepreneurs.
Super performing.
Right. How do you hire? How do you know? How do you pick your team? How do you know? Is it an intuitive gut feeling, or are there certain questions you ask, or what are you looking for in your tribe?
Yeah, so we when we talk about this in our coaching program, we culture is really big, and so culture is a reflection of your vision for the company. So our vision as a marketing firm is to heal the world by helping create more joy at work. And so from there, we then have created core values. One of our core values is accountability. Balance is a core value, trust, certain things. And so those core values get baked into our interview process, transparency, things like that. And so when we're asking questions, we're not just hiring for competency, which I think a lot of us, I find a lot of businesses either hire completely for competency or completely for chemistry. And it's a combination of both. If you hire just for chemistry, that's how you can end up with people who don't have the competency you really, really like. Or if you just hire for competency, you can miss hire because those people don't reflect your core values. And so I think when we get clarity on who we are as a leader, how that connects to our brand as a company, and then we can extract those core values, we can begin to create cultures that reflect the best of who we are. So for us, that means we are actively pursuing people who have great marketing talent, but those people who really want balance in their lives. Like, Sarah, everybody doesn't want balance. That was like a shock to me. Like, what? You don't want this? Some people are like, no, show me the money. I just want the money. And, that's their choice. But I'd rather work with people who are, I call them ex-corporate patriots, who are like, I love doing great work, but I want to be at the baseball game or at the ballet lesson or have dinner for my kids when they get home. And so being clear on who we are allows us to figure out where are there communities of people who have the skills and talent that we need to serve our organization and who will fit with the methodology. And when you do that right, then everyone's singing from the same hymn book, and we're out there being little joy meisters, making everyone happy while we're happy at home and on the beach and at the baseball lessons and all that. So,
right. I love that. And I want to touch on what people should look at when they're thinking about their job. And you mentioned, you talk about what would you do and what are you good at, and really sitting with what you're good at and what you would do without being paid. And that's where actually the financial gain would come. So let's talk about that.
Sure. So we have a coaching program, and in our coaching program, it's a 6-month coaching program, and we start people out in the program, in the Joy Economics coaching program. The first 2 months are completely about you, assessing you, your profile, your makeup. We actually do actual assessments like Strength Finders to figure out, what are you naturally talented? When we look at the 34 natural gifts and talents that we all have, what is your makeup? And I think, again, paying a nod to just doing some real good exercises and spending some time paying attention to yourself first as the leader is most important. And when you're able to do that, and when you're able to either hire someone, a coach, or work with a tribe that you trust and interrogate your reality. Like, ask people, what do you think I'm good at? You'll find you're typically good at stuff that doesn't seem like it's a big deal to you. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal to you because you're naturally good at it. Like, that's just who you are. So it's not going to seem like a big thing, but that is probably the very thing that's your path to joy, because it is effortless. And because it's so effortless, it's going to take a lot less stress. You're going to burn a lot less mental, emotional, psychological calories doing that thing. And you're going to do it at a higher level. So it'll attract more opportunities because people see that gifting in you. For me, this will make you laugh because we talked about this story earlier. One of my gifts is writing. Well, my mom wasn't trying to diminish my gift, but as a 17-year-old headed to college, I heard you can't write and you can't make a living as a writer. So when it got time for me to start my business, my ex-husband, I spent 2.5 years, Sarah, trying to figure out what was I good at. And he kept saying, just write. And I was like, nope, that's not it. And finally gave up and was like, I'll just write. But that was absolutely it. So just being very aware and again, having other people interrogate that reality, I found goes a long way. The other last little thing I'll say is, I call it figure out what makes your heart flutter. Like, when I am happy, it doesn't even have to be at work. Like, if I am shopping and my heart starts going like that on the inside, that I know it's bringing me joy. So I pay attention to my little heart flutters and the physical cues that tell me something real happy is happening. And I pay attention to what's happening in that moment. And that's always a clue. And likewise, that thing that makes the hair on your neck stand up or your tense up, that's a clue that that's something that's draining me and I need to do less of that.
Gosh, so you're speaking my truth. And then back to that old marketing team, they were asking things of me that would make me stressed beyond belief and making me feel not good enough because I wasn't able to perform in the way they wanted to. And as soon as I let that go and started really intuitively thinking or feeling what was good for me and what I'm good at, it all just kind of fell into place. So we just have a few more minutes, but I know that every successful person has a routine or even a morning routine. And you had mentioned meditation. What is it that you do every single day to increase your frequency, increase your vibration, just increase your level of living?
This God has a sense of humor because my morning routine is in the middle of changing as of yesterday. I just had a therapy session earlier this morning. I was just talking about this, but okay. So true story. My morning routine changed when COVID happened, and my way of coping with COVID is going to sound so bizarre. I'm in Atlanta where the traffic is horrible, but I like to drive. Bizarre, but soothing, and I can connect. So my morning routine for the last year and a half during COVID has been getting in the car and going for a drive for about 30 minutes out and 30 minutes in. And I'll normally listen to a sermon or a meditation podcast or something inspirational to center my day. And then I come in and start working. Just yesterday, I was fussing with myself about needing a better morning routine. And so I got up and I got a Peloton a couple of months ago, and I got up and did yoga yesterday morning, and then did some journaling and read some scripture. And then that felt better because I was able to be completely dressed, have my matcha tea and everything by 8:30 in the morning. So I was just talking this morning about that's the aspirational routine that I'm headed toward. And but I will confess I went on a drive this morning. So.
But regardless of what it is, it's more of like this meditation, kind of viewing what your day's going to be, whatever's going to center you so that you can take on what happens to you the rest of the day. I know for me, I've got to have my morning routine because with 3 kids in the house, things are going to be hitting me at different times and unexpected. And I have no idea what's going to happen with the rest of my day. I just know that my morning is my time. So it is so important. Well, tell everybody where they can find you and for your amazing coaching program. I just love your heart. I love what you're doing, and you're bringing so much good to this world.
As are you. It's been such a pleasure to be on your show. I just support all the work that you're doing. Our health, it's cliche, but it is our wealth. And that currency will ride us a lifetime. So I am easy to find. You can head over to shanigodwin.com and find out everything about our amazing Joy Economics program. It's specifically for women who know they're ready to grow and scale their business, but they don't want to lose themselves on the way and in the climb. And we're doing some great things there. You can also follow me on Instagram at I am Shani Godwin, Facebook at I am Shani Godwin, and always feel free to link in with me. I love questions, anything, everything's fair game. So I'd welcome anyone who wants to connect.
And there's no coincidence that your last name is Godwin. And I know that has not been the first time you've heard that before, but that's just amazing and so telling. Well, everybody, thank you, Shani, for joining us today. And thank you, everybody else, for coming in and experiencing Shani with us. If I can help you with your health or any of your issues, you can contact me directly through my website or sarah@acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you or to see if the Ascent Diet Cleanse is appropriate for you. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and my YouTube channel under Accelerated Health Radio and TV. This show and all of my shows are broadcasted over 100 channels, so it's very easy to find, and including iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, and Pandora. I also do Accelerated Health Bites, where I do short informational videos about topics and solutions that you ask me about. And if you like what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button and share this with a few of your friends who may need my help. And as you share my channel, it helps me help more people like you and bring more cutting edge guests to my show. Again, you can find the supplements and many informational videos on the website, acceleratedhealthproducts.com. And you can use coupon W4HC20, W4HC20 for 20% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great week.
Hi.